You think 6 hours is a lot in the car with the boys? Okay, good evening, and we are live. It is currently 8 p.m. and I'm excited for you guys who are joining, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. As you are trickling in, I'm going to give it a couple of minutes so that we can create a crowd here. Hopefully, we can create a crowd so we have tons of questions and that we can go back and forth as we wrestle with the remedy, right? The remedy for fear, anxiety, and stress. Welcome. Hey, Val. Val has joined us tonight. And if you are joining, use this time to share this with maybe friends or family. I think everyone right now, especially in the craziness that has been the world these last couple of months and the year, I think everyone is suffering with a little bit of fear, anxiety, and stress. Fear, anxiety, and stress, that is going to be the conversation of tonight. And I want to give you something practical. I almost want to shorten tonight. I don't even think we'll be here the full hour because I want to make sure that there's no beating around the bush. I'm going to give it to you straight, and we are going to find the remedy for fear, anxiety, and stress. Welcome, Bizou's coming in. Again, here we go. What are the expectations for tonight's live? Why are you here? Why do I want you to be here? Well, the goal of tonight's live is to give you tools where you're going to be able to enjoy the process, not just the outcome. Have you ever heard that? I tell my clients often, you have to enjoy the process. And usually we have this idea that when I arrive at the destination, when I arrive at the goal, when I arrive, then I'm going to be happy. No, 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 no. This idea of I will be happy when takes away all of our joy. And tonight I want to give you tools where throughout the journey of whatever is the goals that you want to accomplish, the purpose that you want to live out, I want you to enjoy the process every step of the way. Hey, Lindsay, welcome, welcome. So that's what we're going to try to do here tonight. Not only enjoy the end, but enjoy the means to the end, so that every aspect of the journey we're learning, we're curious, we're excited, and we're growing, okay? And so the idea here is that you will leave here tonight knowing 3 P's that are the 3 remedies. These 3 P's are going to lower your fear, your anxiety, and your stress. It's going to be removed from your life so that these things no longer sabotage you from achieving your dreams and living out your purpose, okay? And so as you're coming in, I want you to remind you that here in this Instagram, all of these lives are about the better way to develop your character. Why? Because character determines destiny. We talked about that last week. And what is character? Well, character is your choice. Character is not reputation. It's not IQ. It's not finances. Character is choices, actions, and habits. And every single day, you and I, with the small, medium, and large choices that we make, we are creating our destiny. Now, this destiny is two types of destiny. The destiny, sure, 5, 10, 15 years down the line, but also the destiny tomorrow. So today, you are living out a destiny that you created yesterday, last week, last month, and last year. That's why your choices matter. And so here, we know that character determines destiny. What is character? Choices, action, and habits. And we are cultivating a better version of you. And now, if we understand anything about cultivation, about seeds, about plants, is that it begins with a tiny seed. But as you and I cultivate, as we water, as we make sure there's sunlight, as we take away all the weeds, as we take care of our plants, as we take care of our seeds, it will grow and flourish into plants and trees, and it's going to be awesome, okay? So welcome, those who are coming in. Obetha, Chastity, I'm glad you guys are here. We are going to be wrestling with the remedy for fear, anxiety, and stress. So I want you to walk away with three P's that I believe if you apply this in your life in a very practical way, that anxiety will decrease, fear will decrease, and stress will decrease, okay? And so do me a favor as you're joining in now, if you think that this live will be beneficial to friends or family, now is the time to share. Now is the time to prepare yourself. Grab papers, grab pens, something to drink, a snack. I'm such a snacker. Grab a snack and hang tight. Here we go. So look, it was so interesting this week because this week I was able to talk to people from all different classes. That's what I shared just a little while ago on the Instagram story. In just one day, in just a matter of minutes, I spoke to a billionaire, and then a few minutes later, I spoke to someone who was really struggling with their financial life. I spoke to a Christian and an atheist. I was able to preach just this past weekend to people who love Jesus, who love God, who are trying to live out their mission as is revealing His glory and His character. And then I spoke with people who have no idea who God is. And no matter where they were financially, no matter if they were women or men, no matter where they were professionally, how many kids they had, if they were married or unmarried, it didn't matter if they were living out their dreams or trying to, are in the process or sort of in the trenches to try to figure out what the heck they're trying to do with the rest of their lives. I realized that all of these people, even though their stories are different, the details of their stories are different, even though they have different trials and tribulations and struggles, sure, but all were experiencing some form of fear, anxiety, and stress. In fact, I had one client share with me, I have life pretty easy. I don't have these day-to-day stresses of finances or the children because all these things are pretty well taken care of. She says, I don't mean to brag, but I don't have these day-to-day problems. And yet, why am I still experiencing stress, fear, and anxiety? Stress, fear, and anxiety. And so I realized that although the clients were at different phases in their lives and had different relationships or different dreams, all of them in their core had the similarity of fear, stress, and anxiety. The reality is that there are three sort of things that are kind of at the center, at the core of what makes you and I human. We have this desire of want, we have fear of losing, and we have the desire to be loved. And it seems that when we're starting off, right, I'm going to use the words rich and poor, even though I like to think of these terms more of a mental status. There are people who are poor in spirit and poor in mind, and there are people who have a lot of wealth in terms of money, but they're very poor in mind and poor in spirit. But right now, I'm going to simplify it, and we're going to look at poor financially, okay? So poor having no money and rich having tons of money. And it seems that the poor is ruled by this desire of gaining position, of gaining status, of gaining money, of gaining reputation. Maybe they have seen the struggles of their family, right? I know for my family, when we immigrated over here from Brazil, something that my brother always said is that I want to have a profession. And he went off to be a doctor because he wanted stability in his life. He wanted to guarantee that his family would not struggle with money. And so you see, we were very much poor in all of its, in all of its words and all of its forms. My father grew up very, very poor, with very little means, and he gave the best he had, and he already accomplished a lot from what was given to him. And my brother and I were able to go a step further. And so my brother he always set his mind. He goes, Mandy, I want to be a doctor because I want to provide stability not only to mom and dad who just busted their butt to give us this opportunity, but also because I don't want to have to worry about that. And so his sort of desire, he was sort of ruled with sort of gaining, and again, from a good place, right? From a place of I want stability, I want comfort. Now the rich, in talking to my clients, they're sort of they're sort of ruled with this desire that they don't want to lose position, they don't want to lose status, they don't want to lose money, and they don't want to lose reputation. And so regardless of if the poor is trying to gain and the rich is trying to not lose that which was already gained, both are experiencing fear, anxiety, and stress. And both have this innate, this need, this desire at the core of their being to be loved. Now, here's the thing. These desires that you and I have, while they produce good fruits, they also produce what I like to call the triangle of death. And what is the triangle of death? The triangle that will paralyze you, the triangle that will destroy you, the triangle that will leave you in the end of your life looking back and thinking, what a waste of my life. I didn't do anything with my life. And this is the triangle of death: fear, anxiety, and stress. And so, there's a verse in the Bible in John 10:10. If you have your Bible with you, go to John 10:10, and it says this: the thief comes only, he comes only to do three things: to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And then Jesus, speaking in John, says, but I came to give you life and to give it more abundantly. The thief is the one who steals, right? And what is this thief doing? He's stealing what? Stealing, killing, and destroying. But what is he stealing? What is he killing? And what is he destroying? And all of these things that he's trying to do, to take away, to destroy, to kill from you, Jesus is saying, but listen, while the thief does that, he came only to do these things. I came to give you life and to give it more abundantly. And it is my belief that after tonight, these three P's are going to obliterate fear, anxiety, and stress in your life so that you are able to live this abundant life that Jesus has to offer. So now look, I paired up, we're going to be looking at John 10:10, and we're going to be looking at these three things: fear, stress, and anxiety. And so in sort of my thinking, as I was wrestling with this with myself, I saw that fear kills, anxiety destroys, and stress steals, okay? So follow with me. Look, fear kills, anxiety destroys, and stress steals. Well, what is fear killing? What is stress destroying? And what is anxiety destroying? And what is stress stealing? That's what we're going to see together tonight. Now, before we get there, I want to point out 6 things that I believe the thief, which in the Bible we see the thief is Satan, the 6 things that he does a good job at stealing, killing, and destroying, okay? And he uses fear, anxiety, and stress as weapons of mass destruction. That's why it's called the triangle of death, okay? So the thief steals, kills, and destroys. Well, what is he stealing, killing, and destroying? But we know that he's using fear, anxiety, and stress to do these things. Well, I'm going to mention 6, but we're just going to focus on 3, okay? So he is stealing, killing, and destroying your faith, your peace, your joy. And now these are the 3 that we're going to focus on: your relationship, your destiny, and your health, okay? So the thief is stealing, killing, and destroying your faith, your peace, and your joy, and relationship, your destiny, and your health. And we're going to focus on those last 3. So the triangle of death, if you can, Renee actually put up, we're one step further in our mission here to create even more resources to give you guys a visual. I know a lot of you have said, man, Amanda, I'm a visual learner, and so we want to give you that visual. And so next week, what is it, Renee? It's a glass, right? It's a glass whiteboard, right? Renee's getting really fancy in our setup. So today he actually added another, what is this? another panel. Renee added another panel, so now we have more space, more room. And this week coming up, we're gonna have a glass whiteboard, and so I'll be able to draw things out. But if you have paper and pen, you can draw this out. I want you to draw a triangle, and this is going to be the triangle of death. And in this triangle of death, you're going to put there in one of the corners that stress steals your health, okay? So stress steals your health, fear kills your relationship, and anxiety destroys your destiny. Do you see what we did there? You told me, tons of you, right? And a lot of you agreed, hey, Amanda, yes, I am someone who suffers from stress, anxiety, and fear. My clients, didn't matter, how much money they had or how much money they didn't have. If they were married or if they were unmarried, if they had kids or no kids, if they were in a profession that they loved or if they were in a profession that they hated, it didn't matter. All of them were experiencing some form of fear, anxiety, and stress. And now, based on John 10:10, the Bible tells us that the thief, he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So what is he stealing, killing, and destroying? And what is this weapon of mass destruction? Well, here it is. This is the triangle of death. The thief steals, stress steals your health, fear kills your relationship, and anxiety destroys your destiny. So this is going to be very simple. Now that we know the three things here, then I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain each one. Stress steals your health. We're going to start with that one. Welcome those who are coming in. We're going to focus on the first one. Stress steals your health. I'm going to show you how it does that. I'm going to show you how fear kills your relationship. And I'm going to show you how anxiety destroys your destiny. And then I'm going to give you the 3 P's that will be the remedies that you are going to apply to your fear, to your anxiety, and to your stress so that we can get rid of it, okay? So here's the first one. Stress steals your health. Now, what is stress? Stress is your body's reaction to external pressures, right? From a certain situation or a certain event. And this stress can be either physical, it could be mental, or it could even be an emotional reaction. Now, all of us will deal with stress at some point in our lives. I mean, think about it. Maybe it's the birth of a new baby. Maybe it's you getting fired and your wife is pregnant. Now, what are you going to do? In fact, recent studies have shown that half of all Americans say that they are dealing with some type of moderate stress in their lives. And of course, this year, right? This year of pandemic that we're all living out, it has brought stress, financial stress, emotional stress, familial and relational stress. You and I, we experience stress at some level or another. Now, there are 2 types of stress. You can have acute stress or you can have chronic stress. Acute stress, it could be different for different people. So something that could be stressful for you might not necessarily be stressful for someone else, like public speaking, right? Public speaking might be something that's very stressful for you. Maybe you have a lecture that you have to give or a presentation that you have to present, or maybe you have to present something at your job or your church or whatever, and the thought of public speaking stresses you out. Well, for me, this is like my zone. This is the place that I love most. I love public speaking, and so it doesn't necessarily cause stress for me. However, I will say in the beginning, when I started speaking, it did cause a little stress, but that stress used positively allowed me to hyper focus to prepare for that big presentation, right? For that big lecture. So something that's a source of negative stress for one person, maybe a deadline, can also be helpful for someone else. I watched this YouTube video the other day, and it was talking about procrastinators and how sometimes there are people, maybe this is you, and if it is, I don't know, maybe give me a thumb up if this is you, where procrastination actually helps you. And what happens is that those who procrastinate, when they leave things for the last minute, but then whether it's a day before, they can have this like super focus, like beeline focus, and they can get things done. And so that's the point. Something that could be stressful for you might not be stressful for someone else. And something that is a source of negative stress for you, maybe a deadline, can maybe be seen as something positive for someone else who needs a deadline, who a deadline maybe lights a fire in their butt, okay? But what happens? Well, how does acute stress become chronic stress? Well, acute stress that begins to spiral out of control, that goes left unchecked, can become chronic stress. And the problem with stress is that stress steals your health. Remember, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. What is he stealing? Well, stress steals your health. How? Physical effects of chronic stress include, and is not limited to, I wrote here a list, headaches, trouble sleeping or sleeping too much, muscle pain or tension, digestive issues, change in sex drive, high blood pressure, heart disease, and even obesity. Stress steals your health. Not only does it steal your physical health, but it also has emotional effects on your body. Feelings like you can't get things done, moodiness, restlessness, lack of motivation, irritability, sadness, and chronic stress can lead to depression. Stress steals your health. All right, what's the next one? I said that anxiety destroys your destiny. This is the next sort of triangle. The next one on your triangle there is anxiety destroys your destiny. If you're just joining us now, hey, welcome, Nicole. If you're just joining us now, we're trying to find remedies, solutions to fear, stress, and anxiety, which is something all of us are experiencing at some point or another, at some level or another. And the triangle of death that I just told you, this is the triangle of death: stress, fear, and anxiety. Well, stress steals your health. We just saw that right now. Fear kills your relationship, and anxiety destroys your destiny. So we're in the next one here. Anxiety destroys your destiny. Well, why? Well, first, let me tell you sort of the difference between stress and anxiety. Stress is your response to a change in environment. Anxiety is an emotion, okay? That's the difference. So stress is a response to what? A change in an environment. It could be positive or it could be negative. Your body will react to these things. Maybe falling in love, right? There's different stresses that we experience when we fall in love. Starting a new job, suffering an unexpected loss, or the loss of a job. And this stress can affect your physical, mental, and emotional response. Now, anxiety is an emotion that its main characteristics is it's these feelings of apprehension, of nervousness, of fear, and of doom. Anxiety is a feeling of worry, of nervousness, uneasy. Typically, when you think about sort of an imminent event or danger, or sort of a fear of the unknown, of uncertainty. Now, here's why anxiety destroys your destiny. Here, we believe that character determines destiny, right? And what is character? Character are choices, actions, and habits. Character is your choice that when you make these choices today, right now, it leads to seeds. Think of choices as little seeds, okay? And so every single day, you have the possibility to make all these different choices, small, medium, and large choices, right? You're able to make good choices and you're able to make really crappy choices. Well, imagine that all of these choices are seeds that you're planting on the ground. And these seeds that you are planting, whether it's going to grow in a week from now or a month from now or a year from now, the point is they are going to grow. Why? Because whatever you plant, you will reap, right? Seeds, they will produce a crop. Now, this is why anxiety destroys your destiny, because when you are anxious, you cannot be present. When you are anxious, these are the types of things that are happening to your body. Man, I wish I could show you this image here. I found it on Pinterest, and it kind of shows you what anxiety does to your body. And it says anxiety, this constant fear of impending doom, it doesn't allow you to focus. So you have difficulty concentrating. Of course, this is why anxiety destroys your destiny. Because if I am making choices right now so that I can have a different future tomorrow, next week, next year, well, if I'm having difficulty concentrating, clearly I'm not going to be able to make the best decisions today. That's why anxiety destroys your destiny. Are you following? Does that make sense? And so when I say destiny, I don't want you to think of something like 20 years in the future. No, your destiny can be something like next week. My destiny is tomorrow. And guess what? Today, right now, I'm living out a destiny that I created yesterday, last month, last year, or 5, 10, 15 years ago. Does that make sense? And so this is why anxiety destroys your destiny, because doesn't allow you clarity of mind, because when you are anxious, you have difficulty concentrating. The next thing, sometimes anxiety produces panic attacks. And if you are having a panic attack, if your hands are sweating, if your heart is palpitating, if you feel shortness of breath, clearly it's going to inhibit your ability to make good choices right here, right now, to what? Give you the destiny that you want. Anxiety causes headaches. It can cause depression. It can cause irritability. What is going to be the strength of the decisions, of the choices that you're making? Clearly, anxiety destroys destiny. It can cause breathing problems, pounding heart, loss of libido, upset stomach, extreme fatigue. Think about it. Man, extreme fatigue. Imagine all day long you're trying to make good decisions in your job, or good relational decisions, or good decisions with your children. But if you're experiencing anxiety, if you're consistently experiencing fatigue, how are you going to make decisions? How are you going to make choices? How are you going to plant good seeds so that you have a good crop? Well, you're not going to be able to. It can increase your blood pressure, and it can cause muscle aches and other pains. The point being, anxiety does what? Destroys your destiny, because it paralyzes you. It handicaps you from making good choices today. And if you don't make good choices today, well, certainly tomorrow is not going to look very good. All right? And here's the next one. If you're joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're looking at fear, anxiety, and stress. And we're coming to the end here, where I'm going to give you 3 P's to counteract fear, anxiety, and stress. Okay, and here's the third one. So if you should have on your paper right now a triangle, right? Write this down, grab your paper, implement this. Don't just be hearers, be doers. This will do no good for you if you don't apply this in your life, okay? So grab your white paper, grab a pen, and draw a triangle on your paper. And the first corner of that triangle should say, stress steals health. Your stress is stealing your health, and we just saw that. The next one you should have there is that anxiety destroys your destiny. Why? Because if you're feeling anxious, you can't make good decisions. And if you're not making good decisions today, then certainly you're not going to have a good future, a good destiny, or a good tomorrow, okay? And the third one we're seeing is fear kills your relationship. Well, why does fear kill your relationship? Well, because something that is necessary for relationship is love. And the Bible says that where there is fear, love is cast out. However, the opposite is also true. Perfect love casts out fear. Over and over and over again. The one thing that Jesus says more than anything else in the Bible is no fear, have no fear, have no fear. It's almost like fear is the thing that pushes away love. And the Bible says that God is love. So where there is God, where there is perfect love, fear runs away. Imagine fear to be darkness, right? Imagine that fear is when there are no lights in your house. And Jesus says that he's the light of the world. If I turn on, if I flip the switch and I turn on and now there is light, well, guess what? At the presence of light, darkness does not exist. Well, where there is perfect love, fear does not exist. But where there is fear, it is a relationship destroyer. Fear kills relationship. There's a quote here from C.S. Lewis that I absolutely love. I love C.S. Lewis, and he says this. When he's talking about love, okay? He's talking about love, and he says this. There is no safe investment. If you love, it's not a safe investment. There is no safe investment. Look at what he says. To love at all is to be vulnerable. To love is to be vulnerable. Love anything, and your heart will certainly be wrung and possibly even broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give your heart to no one, not even an animal. He's like, listen, if you're afraid, right? If you want to make sure that you're never going to get heartbroken, well, don't give your heart to anyone, not even an animal, not even a pet. He goes, wrap it carefully round with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all sorts of entanglements. In other words, avoid any type of relationship, be it with humans and be it with animals. He says, lock it up in a safe, in the casket or a coffin of your selfishness. Why? Because love is selflessness, right? Love is selflessness. But if you do not want to experience love, well, hide it in the coffin of your selfishness, is what he's saying. He goes, but in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. The alternative to tragedy, he's like, the alternative to this awful and sad existence where you don't experience love is this. The alternative to tragedy, or at least to the risk of tragedy, is damnation. The only place outside heaven where you can be perfectly safe from all dangers and perturbations of love is hell. Why? Because perfect love casts out fear, and there is no such thing as experiencing love without experiencing risk or vulnerability. And in order to experience love, we need to let go of fear. Why? Fear wants us to hide away. Fear is selfishness. Fear wants me to not be vulnerable and to be prideful and to be arrogant. That's why fear kills your relationships. And finally, I want to read to you a verse found in 1 John 4, verses 18 through 21. And this is what it says. There is no fear in love. That's why there is no fear in love. Why? Fear kills relationships. And what do you need in relationships? Well, you need love. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not perfected in love. Now it says, well, Amanda, how can I experience this? Well, we love because He, God, first loved us. You and I can experience love and we can give love, not because we are love, but because He is love and He can create lovingness in us, right? Look, if anyone says, I love God and hates his brother, he is a liar. For he who does not love his brother, whom he can see, how can he love God, whom he cannot see? And then the verse ends by saying this, whoever loves God must love his brother. When you and I understand love, we understand relationship. When we have a good relationship with God, we have a good relationship with others. But fear, what does it do? It kills your relationship. And so here we go. Now we have an understanding of this triangle of death. And look, we're only 30 minutes into this thing, and I'm about to give you the 3 P's that are remedies for stress, fear, and anxiety. So here we go. Last opportunity. Grab your paper. If you're just joining us now, grab your paper. We just talked about the triangle of death. This triangle is going to destroy your dreams, your wishes, your desires. It's going to kill your relationships. It's no good. And what is this triangle of death? Well, it's fear, anxiety, and stress. And what does fear, anxiety, and stress do? Well, fear kills your relationship. This is one point of the triangle. Stress steals your health. This is another part of the triangle. And finally, the third one, anxiety destroys your destiny. We just saw those 3 things. I just explained those 3 things. If you missed it, don't worry. These lives are going to be saved on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all of our social media platforms. And you can just continue here with us. Stay here with us. You can ask your questions. But then you can just go back and rewatch what you missed. Because right now, I'm about to give you the 3 P's that are remedies for stress, fear, and anxiety. So here's the first one. You know how I told you that stress steals your health? Well, the first P is this, perspective. Perspective, okay? You need to change your perspective because stress steals your health, but perspective gives you health. So here we go. Look, one way for you to cope with stress is to set realistic goals. You and I are walking around with so many types of unrealistic expectations that either you put on yourself or that others put on you. It's this sort of invisible pedestal that all of us are walking around in. And there are things that you can do. Number 1, lower your expectations. Lower your expectations. You need to figure out what phase you are in your life. There are things that you used to do that maybe you can't do now because you had kids. Let me give you an example. Renee and I, what we loved to do before we had River and Reed is that every single weekend we were at a different church, a different location preaching. I love to speak. Renee likes to sing and play. And when River and Reed were born, I needed to change my perspective. And honestly, it would cause me a little bit of stress and uneasiness because I love these things. Well, I know when you saw that stress ruins it, what does stress do? Stress steals your health. But when I changed my perspective, I was able to what? Lower my stress. I had these expectations. Well, how am I going to preach every weekend? And I felt bad, and I had to, bring the kids around all the time. Well, no. So I said, well, instead of preaching every single weekend, I'm going to dedicate one, Saturday a month to do that preaching. You need to change your perspective depending on what phase you are in your life. Give yourself some grace as a mother. Give yourself grace as a father, as a wife, as a husband, as a professional. Give yourself grace. Lower your expectations in some areas of your lives and accept the things you can't control. Accept the things that you cannot control. Now, I'm not saying for you to, cross your arms and, just pray it all away. No. There are things that you can actively be doing to lower your stress. Part of changing your perspective is, put it all down on a sheet of paper. Figure out the things that are in your control and then focus on that. And the things that are beyond your control, accept it. Accept things that are beyond your control. Don't try to fix everyone's lives and try to fix everyone's problems. Prepare for the things that you can. Act on the things that you can. Focus on the things that you can. And pray and by faith accept the things that you cannot. And instead of seeing change as a challenge, as a threat, see it with new eyes. See it with fresh eyes and give yourself some grace. Now I'm going to add something here, things that can lower your stress. Yes, by changing your perspective, but also changing your lifestyle can lower stress. Make sure that you're eating real food. Lord have mercy. Turn the back of the things that you're reading. And if you can't pronounce the first 3 words, it's not real food, okay? If you can't pronounce the first 3 words, it is not real food. Now I'm going to tell you guys something. I'm 3 days in to the Daniel fast. Maybe you've heard of the Daniel fast. Certainly you've heard of the story in the Bible. Remember Daniel and his friends? They were taken to Babylon as slaves, as exiles. And when they get there, the king spreads out all of these delicacies on the table. And there's wine and all these sugary drinks and meats that weren't prepared in the, what's it called? In the kosher way. And so the boys are like, we can't eat any of these types of food, right? Now, here's the thing. When Daniel and his friends were obedient to the word of God and they ate in a particular way, vegetables and fruits and water and legumes, well, they had clarity of mind. And so stress steals your health. And so I'm telling you that perspective is the remedy for stress that is stealing your health. Meaning, how do I lower stress? Well, I change my perspective. I'm going to focus on the things I can focus on. I'm going to accept the things that are out of my control. I'm going to plan where I can, and I'm going to delegate where I need to. I'm going to get myself off this ridiculous pedestal that people have placed me on or I have placed myself on. But then I'm going to eat real food. Okay, in 3 days in of this Daniel fast, I have more clarity of mind. Honestly, I'm not experiencing as much fatigue as I was prior to this Daniel fast. Get plenty of rest and exercise regularly. You have choices to make. This is what we believe here in this Instagram. This is what I believe, that your character determines your destiny. And what is character? It's choices, it's actions, it's habits. You can choose to eat real food. You can choose how many hours of sleep you're getting every single night. And you can choose to exercise regularly. And you can choose to change your perspective so that stress does not steal your health. Now, usually when I talk to clients about stress, it's usually tied into failure. I failed at something and it's stressing me out. I failed in my relationship. I failed in my job. I failed in that workout that I said I was going to do. Failure is a huge thing, under the umbrella of stress. Failure keeps coming up over and over and over again. I'm stressed, Amanda, because I failed at something. Well, and this might change your perspective. That's what we're doing here, right? We know that our stress steals our health, and the remedy for that, we're talking about the triangle of death. And one of the things that you need to implement is these 3 P's. The first P attacks stress. How do I attack stress? Well, perspective. Change your perspective. And so failure and mistakes, honestly, sorry to say, get over yourself. You are going to fail. You are going to make mistakes. You're going to fall on your face and you're going to have to pick yourself up and you're going to have to try it again. You are a human being. You are not without fault. You are not without mistakes. You are going to attempt to do something and maybe you're going to fail at it over and over and over again. And that's fine. Failing is fine. What is not fine is not getting back up. And so failure and mistakes are part of our lives. Now, the attitude we have towards the failure in our lives is what separates those who will be successful and those who will be unsuccessful. Did you catch that? Failure and mistakes are part of life. You experience failure. I experience failure. But what we do with our failure, the attitudes that we have towards our failure, is what's going to separate us from being successful or unsuccessful in our lives. And so there are two types of people. There are people who are stopped by failure. Why? Because they take failure personally. They have a personal perspective to failure. But the successful people, they are also failing. However, they are not stopped by failure because they see failure as part of the progress. So for them, they have a progress perspective in failure. Do you see the difference? Are you the type of person? Think right now, reflect right now, start thinking about your thinking. Hey, let me see, is stress stealing my health? Well, Amanda says that the remedy for stress stealing my health is to change my perspective. And one of the things that I need to change my perspective on is this idea of failure. Am I a person that takes failure personally? Or am I a person that looks at failure as progress, as learning? Remember, two types of people. People who are stopped by failure see it from a personal perspective. People who are not stopped by failure see it from a progress perspective. The remedy for being stopped by failure? Well, focus on possibilities, not liabilities. This is what John Maxwell says. He has a great leadership podcast. Get on that podcast. He says to never stay down, to get back up. And finally, we rarely admire people because of their intellect and because of their brilliance. You know why we admire people? We admire people who are courageous. We admire people who are vulnerable. We admire people who are bold. We admire the stories of people who failed and then they got back up and they brushed themselves off. Do not let stress steal your health. Instead, use the remedy of perspective. Change your perspective on failure so that stress does not ruin your health, but perspective will regain your health. All right, that's the first one. Here's the next one. Anxiety destroys your destiny. Well, what's the remedy of that? What's the P that's going to fight off anxiety? Purpose. Choose purpose, okay? Anxiety destroys your destiny. So Amanda, you're saying anxiety destroys my destiny. Yes, I showed it to you. I proved it to you. Why? Because anxiety inhibits your ability from making good choices. And if you're not making good choices today because anxiety is coming in your way, certainly you're going to destroy any type of possibility of having a destiny that you desire. And so you have to use the P of purpose. Choose purpose. I watched this incredible, and I didn't watch, I heard this incredible book. Again, please listen to it. I recommend it. You can find it on YouTube. It's called Good Luck, right, Renee? Good Luck. Renee listened to it. I listened to it. My father-in-law listened to it. And all the people who are close to me and all the people I love, I said, you have to listen to this book. You can listen in audio. I listened at 1.5 speed. And if you do so, I think you can get it done in about an hour and a half, right? Choose to drive somewhere far sometime this week. What? 1 hour, Renee says. You can listen to it in 1 hour. So drive somewhere for 1 hour. Come visit me here at the ranch. Drive 1 hour and listen to this book called Good Luck. And I'm going to share with you, right? I'm going to share with you quickly, I'm going to share with you points that this book made. It's an incredible little story. It's going to change your life. So what I'm telling you right now is that anxiety destroys your destiny. But if you use the P, we're talking about 3 Ps that can completely get rid of this triangle of death that is fear, anxiety, and stress. Choose purpose, P of purpose, to attack anxiety. Now, in this book, Good Luck, it says that luck doesn't last long because it doesn't depend on you. So he makes a difference. The author of this book makes a difference between luck and good luck. And he says luck is something, that happens to you every once in a while. Luck, an example of luck could be like winning the lottery. Did you know that 90% of people who win the lottery lose that money within, less than or within 10 years? It's absolutely insane. That's luck. Now, good luck is created by you. Good luck is a long-term thing. Good luck is a forever thing. And you create good luck. How? Well, through choices, actions, and habits. Number 2, it said that many people want good luck, but few are those who will pursue it. That's why when I say you need to choose your purpose, you need to sometimes choose the difficult choice. You need to sometimes make the difficult choice, choose the difficult choice based on your purpose, right? Based on the future you, not the present you. A lot of people want good luck. They want to experience good luck, but few are willing to pursue it. If you want to pursue purpose, you need to be willing to make difficult decisions. The next one, he says this: if you have no luck now, it might be because you are still under the usual conditions. To have good luck, you must create new conditions. Again, when we're talking about luck and good luck, it's very different. Luck is something that happens to you. Good luck is something you create. You know how you create good luck? By working on your circumstance, by creating your soil. Think about it. If you have seeds, which we saw earlier today in our time together, I want you to look at seed as choices. Well, if I have all of these choices and I plant the seeds in the ground, and if I pick the right soil, if I pick the right location where the sun shines, if I water it, I'm creating good luck. Good luck is created because now I'm giving myself opportunities and chances. People say, oh man, you've just got lucky. No. When people make it to where they're trying to go, when they're living out their purpose, the people in the bleachers love to look at them and be like, oh, that was so lucky. No. You create good luck. It's not something given to you. It's something that's created. Let me share with you an example. When a couple of years ago, we have a nonprofit. It's called I Believe Ministries, okay? And something that I wanted to do with I Believe Ministries is have a space where we could gather people, where we could learn about Jesus, where we could have community, where we could have community service, where we could have fellowship and singing and food and all that good stuff. Well, a couple of years ago, I sort of sold my family this dream, this vision. And when I did, I told my husband, and then my parents were going to accompany us. We were going to buy a large piece of land, and they were going to build their house on it. And there were so many people at that time in our lives, family, friends, close friends, and then also a couple of enemies who said, you guys are crazy. You have lost your mind. You're going to, move yourself an hour away from your church and from your family and from your circle of friends. But why? I chose purpose, right? Look at this. Anxiety destroys your destiny. If I would have gotten anxious with everyone, it's not going to work out. You're not going to make it. It's too far. It's too expensive. It's too this. It's too that. But in that moment, I chose purpose. And they say, good luck is created by the choices that you're making. And guess what? Moving to a place, and it was scary. Yeah, it was expensive, and it was all sorts of these things. But as we chose purpose, as we saw the bigger mission and the bigger vision of God, and we placed ourselves, in this ranch, guess what? All of a sudden, everyone's looking and saying, oh, they got lucky. No. Luck is something that happens to you. Good luck is something you create by your choices, by your actions, and by your habits. And guess what? Opportunities came. And I Believe truly started to grow. The space allowed for I Believe to grow. It allowed for us to meet all these incredible people. It allowed networking to take place. It blessed me professionally. It blessed Renee professionally. It blessed us with friends and community. Yes, there was blessing that came with what? As we chose purpose and as we created good luck. Why? Because we opened the doors of opportunities and possibilities. And so that's why it says, look, creating conditions, helping others makes good luck more likely to appear. So if you're feeling not very lucky, create new conditions. Why? By focusing on your purpose and not focusing on your anxiety. Anxiety paralyzes you. Okay, and I want to share with you, those are just a few, but please, I highly recommend that you listen to this book. My father-in-law just came on, Sergio just came on, and he'll tell you yourself, you need to listen to the audio book, But good luck. You need to listen. It's just an hour. Listen to it at 1.5. Okay? And so the last two things that it said, there's 10 sort of rules of good luck, and I shared a couple with you. I'm going to share two more. It says this: nobody can sell good luck. Good luck cannot be sold. Do not trust those who sell good luck. It cannot be sold. Why? Because it has to be created by you. You have to cultivate it. And finally, after creating all the conditions, be patient and don't quit. Persevere. When you choose your purpose, that is the P here that we're talking about. We're talking about this triangle of death. And we are combating anxiety by what? The P of purpose. Now I'm going to share with you, and then we're going to get to our last triangle, our last piece of the triangle, and then we're going to land this plane. It says this: 50% of events will never happen. That's what anxiety does. Anxiety creates this unrealistic, this fear of things that are unknown. And look, 50% of the events that you have created in your mind that you are being anxious over will never happen. That's why anxiety destroys your destiny, because you are paralyzed by thinking about all these things that may or may not happen. And guess what? 50% of the craziness that you're creating in your mind will never happen. Winston Churchill, he said this, look, I remember the story of the old man who said on his deathbed that he had a lot of trouble in his life, but most of it never happened. Oh man, we're not going to be like that old man. Don't create troubles in your life. Do not choose anxiety. Choose purpose. 25% of the things that have already happened and that cannot be changed. So either we're focusing on the 50% that will never happen, the 25% of things that have already happened, that's in the past, it's just going to make us depressed. You can't do anything about it. The only thing you can do something about is your choices today, your habits today, your actions today. 10% about the negative things that others say about them behind their back. So all of us here, there are 10% of the things that we're focusing on, things that people said behind our back. What people think about you is none of your business. You know what's more harmful than people thinking negative things about us is when we believe those negative things. Another 10% is about health, much to do with worry. We're so worried. What? Stress, right? What do we say? Stress steals our health. And when we're stressing about our health, well, we're ruining our health. And finally, the 5% are about real problems that will be faced. So look at all the percentages. 50 here, 25 here, 10 and 10, and only 5% are real problems that we actually have control over. And so anxiety destroys your destiny. Instead of choosing anxiety, choose purpose. And finally, here's the last one. Fear destroys your relationship. So I told you that stress steals your health, and the remedy for that is perspective. I told you that anxiety destroys destiny, and the remedy for that is purpose. And finally, fear kills relationship. And what is the remedy of that? Present. Be present. There's a legend. It says here, I thought it was an interesting little story. It says, a legend from the Middle Ages. This took place in AD 500 to the 1500. And it tells of travelers who met fear and plague. Right? So these travelers, they're walking and they meet fear and they meet plague one night on their way to London. And then it says, they were expected to kill 10,000 people. The traveler asked Plague if he would do all the killing. Oh no, Plague responded. I shall kill only a few hundred. My friend Fear will kill the rest. Do you catch that? Plague only had to kill a few hundred people because fear would do the job. Why? Because fear destroys. Specifically, fear destroys your relationship with what? With God, with self, and with others. And what is the remedy for fear? How can we stop fear? Present. Be present. A client I spoke to I think it was yesterday, I spoke to her and she goes, oh man, Amanda, if you could just hear the negative thoughts that I have in my head, if you could just hear the things that I say about myself, it's so hard for me to stay present. I asked her, I said, what do you want? What is the thing that you most desire? And she said, the thing that I most desire is to just be present, to just be present. Well, how do we do that? Look at this. According to a Harvard study, we are not fully present about 50% of our time. Can you imagine that? That you and I are not present 50% of the time. And now look, Renee does a way better job at this than I do, and he calls me out on it often, as he should. But I don't know about you, but I noticed in my life sometimes it's very difficult for me to be present. And I really try to sort of control myself and to try to be present. And I'm going to share with you some things that I'm trying to apply in my life. Now, am I perfect at it? Absolutely not. You know, Renee's laying in bed. He'll shout out to you right now that I'm not perfect at it at all, that I keep messing up. And there are some days that I'm better than others. But one of the areas that I'm really struggling with being present in is sort of my work-life balance, right? And so good luck, right? I created good luck where I'm able to work sort of 3 times in the week. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are sort of the days that I work. And Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm fully with River and Reed. But I have found that even the days that I'm fully with River and Reed on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm constantly answering phone or calling clients or checking in on clients. And then it's tough because when I'm with my clients, I'm thinking about River and Reed. And when I'm with River and Reed, I'm thinking about my clients. And then I'm nowhere, right? And so the Harvard study shows that you and I were not fully present 50% of our time. So our bodies can be physically there, but usually our minds are somewhere else. Instead, we start to ruminate about the past, worry about the things that are yet to come. So we ruminate about the past, we have anxiety about the future, and this leads to, guess what? Fear, anxiety, and stress. It causes frustration and pain in our daily lives. Well, 2 things to help you be more present. Number 1, get this out of your head. You cannot multitask. Okay? I know women, you guys think that, you guys and I think, right, that we can drive, put mascara on, be on the phone, hit our kid who's in the back seat, fighting with the other kid, River and Reed, when we're driving half the time, they have this thing where they're like, Mom, can you hold my feet? And I'm like, what? And so if I hold one foot and then the other kid is saying, well, can you hold my foot? And I'm trying to explain to them that I cannot steer, right, if I don't have at least one hand on the steering wheel. So River and Reed want me to hold their feet. They're asking for snacks. They're asking for a movie. They're asking for a song. They're hitting each other. They're bickering. It's a zoo. But you need to get this out of your head. Multitasking is a myth. Whenever you catch yourself wandering in the past or wandering to the future, you need to consciously, with intentionality, bring your focus back to the present moment, to the present activity that you are practicing, right? So we need to try to do that. Accept that multitasking is a myth. Do not, and allow yourself to do one thing at a time. If you're eating, you're eating. If you're answering an email, you're answering an email. And I've tried to do just that. So in the mornings when I get up out of my bed, my brain, has a million thoughts a minute. I kid you not. Okay, my brain doesn't stop. Sometimes I'll be laying in the middle of the night and I'll just pop up out of bed. It scares Renee half to death and I say, I have an idea, right? And so what I like to do is I have just a little notepad there on the side of my bed and I just write things down that I have to do, that I have to get done. Because often I'd find myself, oh my goodness, I would remember something and then I would text that client back. And then I would remember that I'd have to call River and Reed's swim teacher. And then I would remember that I have to do the live and it came in an idea. No, well, what I try to do is a few things. Number 1, the creative part of your brain and the rational part of your brain, they function differently, right? So I don't know which one is left side or which one is right side, but basically one is left side and one is right side. You can choose days of the week where you're going to be creative. So for example, the days that I work and see clients, I kind of like to put my mornings as creative work. That's when I want to be creative. I want to vision. I'm creating a book, and so the mornings for me are creative moments, and the evenings for me is usually when I see clients, and then there's very rational, and I need to figure out, and we need to figure out facts and look at truths and all that. So do not multitask. Do one thing at a time. This will help you be present, and then formulate your agenda, formulate your days so you can have creative days and days that you really need reason and structure and whatever. You get the point. And number 2, this is something that's been helping me a lot, is listen carefully and listen with intent. I love a quote from the Dalai Lama, and he says this: when you talk, you are only repeating what you already know. But if you listen, you may learn something new. And that something new that you may learn is to be present. When people are listening, when people are speaking, try to listen, try to pay attention. Brene Brown says this: be as passionate about listening as you are about wanting to be heard. I found myself, in order to try to stay even more present, is that when people are talking to me, I'm literally repeating what they're saying. I'm not trying to figure out and formulate a response. You and I, we don't listen to listen, we listen to respond. And so people are talking to us and sharing experiences, and I'm already thinking, what experience can I share? Or how can I answer? Well, all too often we stop listening. Instead, we're worried about our answer. Stop worrying about your answer, because you're going to miss what that person is saying. Instead, allow the conversation to flow naturally. And if maybe you didn't get to say the brilliant comment that you wanted to say, that's fine. You'll get another opportunity to say that. Be fully present. Your answers will come naturally. And if not, if I say something, this is something Renee does pretty well. There you go. Yes, prioritize and execute. Absolutely. Multitasking, it doesn't work. It's a myth. Prioritize, have a list, and execute it. Put it on your schedule. Put it on your agenda. And the next one, right? Listen carefully. Listen carefully. You know, this is something that I've learned with Renee. Look at me. I said I wasn't going to take the full hour. Let's be real, right? This is something that I learned from Renee. Oftentimes, I'll ask Renee a question, and typically, if you ask me a question, boom, I want to just answer. But I've learned to reflect a little bit more, and this is something that I learned from Renee. I'll ask Renee a question, and sometimes it's literally a yes or no, and Renee will sit back, and he'll look at me, and he'll think, and he'll ponder, and he goes, I'll get back to you tomorrow about that. Before, it used to drive me absolutely insane. It used to drive me crazy, but I've learned to appreciate it. Why? Because there are some conversations that we have to table. There are some answers that we're going to have to think and reflect. And so, listen carefully. So now here we go. If you think about history, the past, you'll be depressed. If you'll think about the future, you'll be anxious. So be present and experience peace. And so finally, in conclusion, here we go. We are landing our plane. The triangle of death. What is it? It is fear, it is stress, and it's anxiety. Fear kills your relationship. Stress steals your health. And anxiety destroys your destiny. What is the remedy of fear? Well, be present. P for present. What is the remedy for stress? Perspective. Change your perspective. And finally, what is the remedy for anxiety? Choose purpose. Choose to live in your purpose. Well, that's it. That's it. That's what I have for you. Triangle of death. Fear, anxiety, and stress. And remedy, present, perspective, and purpose. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I will see you next week.